Hello, and welcome to Known World Cooks and Bards number 9 and its Journeyman Concert. My name is Kieran Cantor, and I am your event steward and host. Tonight we are going to be seeing 15 up-and-coming bardic performers from 14 different kingdoms. They represent a wide variety of styles and will be entertaining us with song and story, music and poem. We'll mostly be hearing original works, some songs from the 1800s, others by fellow Scadians, and a handful of period pieces. The idea for these Journeyman concerts was created by Hilla Stormbringer. This is the third of the series. The first two were in January and May of this year. Both of those concerts are available on YouTube. When's the fourth? All in good time. For now, sit back, relax, and enjoy our third.
Father, when will I be a man and stand in the shield wall? When will I look over my shield at the Viking foe so tall? When will I thrust my trusty spear into a Viking side? My son, soon enough you'll stand with us when one of us has died. For you're from a shire of 100 spears, not 99, not more. For 100 years, 100 spears have marched from here 50. Father, I have 14 years, and I've already seen boys I know from the scythe and hoe stand in the village green. When will I stand among the brave and feel that swelling pride? My son, soon enough you'll stand with us when one of them has died. For you're from a shire of 100 spears, not 99, not more. For 100 years, 100 spears have marched from here 50. Son, your dad has 40 years, and he's already seen men he knew who were brave and true lie dead on a field of green. Each man held his shield stout and raised his spear point high, but nonetheless they were laid to rest beneath the summer sky. They'd come from a shire of 100 spears, not 99, not more. For 100 years 100 spears have marched from here 50. And one by one their loyal sons took up the spear and shield. And the Viking foe has come to know the yeomen here don't yield. For they die best who are laid to rest, defending hearth and home. Not far from a life with a loving wife, across the sea-green foam. For we're from a shire of 100 spears, not 99, not more. For 100 years 100 spears have marched from here 50. Father, when will I be a man that's more like you? When will I know the love of home that makes you strong and true? When will I know that the scythe and hoe are good as the shield and spear? My son, soon enough you'll be one of us, and hate to leave from here. For you're from a shire of 100 spears, not 99, not more. For 100 years 100 spears have marched from here 50. And you'll be one 'neath the summer sun, defending those back here.
Hajime mashite. My name is Miura Suzume, and I hail from the Barony of Wyvernwood in the Kingdom of Trimaris. Except that wasn't always the case. My family began our pursuit of this grand dream of ours in the solar kingdom of Aitenveld, and the first event that we ever overnighted was Estrella War. We moved out of kingdom when I was about 8, and part of me always intended, always planned, always hoped to come back to visit Estrella War one more time. Unfortunately, nothing lasts forever. Beyond the mountain's majesty, beyond the sun-drenched plains, beyond the purple foothills and the golden seas of grain, away above the desert, overlooking distant shores, once, long ago, there shone a star that now will shine no more. Her voice sang out across the land with clarity and grace, and her missive rang through every castle, field, and marketplace. Take arms, take arts, take all your strength and all the skills of yore. Come find me, and come share your light until we shine no more. She danced above the gilded sands, her arms spread wide to all, and far across the land unnumbered masses heard her call. They feasted, fought, and traveled long to fight her noble war, and they joined her in her glory till they all could shine no more. Still, every star that hangs aloft must someday set in turn, and her loss is mourned by countless kin who for her song still yearn. But if you'd keep her kindled, swear the oath that I once swore. Keep her fire alight within your heart until you shine no more. For when I was a babe in arms, that star, she sang to me. She whispered dreams of honor, glory, hope, and chivalry, and she told me that as long as love still lives among her score, then her light will still shine on through us until we shine no more. Her joy still stands a beacon, burning bright in all our hearts, for she's made us shards of starlight, burning brilliant in the dark. So though she has now set, her voice still has the chance to soar if we who loved her so still shine until we shine no more. Let her echo in your memory, let her blaze within her soul, for we all are still the pieces that together made her whole. And together we shine brighter than alone she could before. So together, let's ensure her light shines on forevermore. Thank you.
Good evening, lords and ladies. I am Catherine Redewell, residing in the Barony of Innisfar in the Kingdom of Lochac. I will be performing Black Nag from the 3rd edition Playford.
Good day to you. I'm Llywelyn Glyndwr, apprenticed to Ciaran Cantor. In our fields, on our farms, where our graceful rivers' arms greet our lakes and embrace oak and elm, where our cities touch the sky, where our dragon banners fly, proud and true grows the rose of mid-realm. Where the coursing hound is led, where the warp and weft are wed, where the armourer closes rivets on a helm, where the lute sings his tune, where the oaken box is hewn, proud and true grows the rose of mid-realm. Emerald sceptre in dew-silvered gown, wind-blown fragrance sings of your renown. Ever bloom mid-realm rose, for your heritage bestows the velvet ruby petals of your crown. When the dragon of our dreams weaves a tale from misty themes, when the hunger for our hearts starts to whelm, call us home, and no matter where we roam, we'll return to the rose of mid-realm. This was inspired by 3 pieces in consecutive galleries in the Cleveland Museum of Art. Apollo, your visit to Python's domain should be a great triumph, a glorious campaign. Just one little problem the gods preordain. You'll have to defeat me again and again. Eve, darling, you're naked. Come in from the rain. Here, put on these aprons. It isn't so vain. And when you mark off your garden, remember, mark Cain. You'll have to defeat me again and again. St. George, so you've come for the virgin I chain. Perhaps you can open my jugular vein. Your hurdle's inhuman, but I'm inhumane. You'll have to defeat me again and again. Now python, now serpent, now dragon remain. The weapons you use are a true reptile's bane. You think you've defeated me, but I'll explain. You'll have to defeat me again and again. You'll have to defeat me again and again. And now from the sublime to the ridiculous. At the duct tape jamboree, oh, it's a shopper's paradise. You can buy a kit or just make it at a special Scadian price. At the Under Armour factory outlet duct tape jamboree, there are duct tape pallets 12 foot high and miles of PVC. There's Under Armour armor under a big top circus tent. And if your favorite knight's dressed not quite right, there's prefab scratch and dent. There's Under Armour haute couture in the style of Genghis Khan. You'll strike a chord with any dark horde from the moment you put it on. Elizabethans fine, but if in duct tape garb you're clad, one ruff's enough, perhaps a cuff, to start a Liz Punk fad. At the duct tape jamboree, oh, it's a shopper's paradise. You can buy a kit or just make it at a special Scadian price. For the Laurel who's got everything but wants that war elan, there's a truckload sale on makeup kits to put those bruises on. There's a tank truck of patchouli that'll cure your fighter funk. There's band-aids by the trunkful, and all jock straps are pre-shrunk. There's camo underwear for things no one will ever see. Or if you're regimental, then the gold bond powder's free. At the daycare center, 9 a.m., just drop off your papoose. After duct tape origami class, stop by to cut them loose. At the duct tape jamboree, oh, it's a shopper's paradise. You can buy a kit or just make it at a special Scadian price. From also-rans to pelicans to feed that service drive, just load up on quick energy, 6 hours for the price of 5. There's moving vans with leather mans and zip ties by the bale, and helmets made of Freon cans, 'cause cooler heads prevail. Yodel yodelay, yodel yodelay, yodel yodelay, tee. Yodel yodelay, yodel yodelay, duct tape jamboree. So bring the kiddies, bring the spouse, bring your grandmama, where all the fun is 2 for 1, a Scadian Shangri-La. Step up and get your kit remade, from head to toe you'll be a martyr, evil gal or guy at the Under Armour factory outlet duct tape jamboree.
Hello, I'm Lady Ingen Duin from the Kingdom of the East, and I would like to sing for you a child's ballad by the name of Barbara Allen. It's a sad story filled with heartbreak and jilted lovers, but it sounds kind of happy. What do you want? It's from Scotland. So without further ado, Barbara Allen. Was in the merry month of May, when green boughs were swelling, sweet William on his deathbed lay, for love of Barbara Allen. sent his servant to the town, to the place where she was dwelling, saying, you must go to my master dear. If your name be Barbara Allen, slowly, slowly she got up. Slowly she drew nigh him, and the only words to him did say, young man, I think you're dying. He turned his face onto the wall, and death was in him welling. Goodbye, goodbye to my friends all. Be good to Barbara Allen. As she walked slowly o'er the field, she heard the death bells knelling, and with every stroke they seemed to say, hard-hearted Barbara Allen. Mother, oh mother, make my bed. Make it long and make it narrow. Sweet William died for me today. I will die for him tomorrow. Father, oh Father, dig my grave. Dig it deep and dig it narrow. Sweet William died for me today. I will die tomorrow. Buried her in the old churchyard. They buried him beside her, and from his grave grew a red, red rose. From her grave a green briar. Grew and grew to the steeple top, till they could grow no higher, and there they tied a true lover's knot. Red rose, round green briar, red rose, around green briar.
A sonnet for these times.
I once heard tell of a society, of those who sought to find the dream they dreamt, chivalric and stout in its propriety, beckoning forth with promises unbent. No one to take false stock of different worth, of gender, concerts queer who'd face no scorn, no shame of tint of flesh nor place of birth, allowed to love myself as I were born. But toward corpora's firm defense diverse, retorts reveal veiled thoughts, reality. Out with that damn protective statesman's verse. The council has no place in fantasy. The wonderful escape for you it be. This form of dream provides no space for me.
Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for welcoming me to join in this wonderful celebration. I am Amanda de Spencer, and I come to you from the Kingdom of Artemisia, where I currently serve as our bardic champion. I am so inspired by the many artisans that have shown their skills, and I am so pleased to offer 3 pieces of my own work that I might hopefully add a little bit to the glory of this occasion. The first one was a poem that I wrote to recognize a particularly amazing woman as she received not her first peerage, not her second, not her third, but her 4th peerage. Now, I happen to be particularly fond of this individual and that she's my mother. The poem is titled, In Honor of Viscountess Mistress Sir Leah de Spencer, written to celebrate her elevation to the Order of the Laurel. The passing of this symbol marks a waypoint and not an end, of a journey witnessed by you gathered here. The passing of this symbol, imbuing it with love, as you welcome to your ranks this noble peer. Inspiring and gracious, encouraging and strong, leading from the throne or on her knee. Her true love won the coronet and placed it upon her brow. They gave to us a royal legacy. She wears the chain of fealty, white belt her waist adorns, these honors won by chivalry and might. And all the knightly virtues she lives with simple grace, that we might look and say, there is a knight. The passing of this symbol marks a waypoint, not an end, of a journey witnessed by you gathered here. The passing of this symbol, imbuing it with love, as you welcome to your ranks this noble peer. This dream that we all celebrate is not by magic made, but by the work of many loving hands. Hers have labored constantly in hours of service given. In her you find our first pelican. She has a gift of teaching and a passion for the arts, a willingness to share in work and play. And now a 4th accolade upon her head is laid. A laurel here is recognized today. And the passing of this symbol marks the waypoint, not an end, of a journey witnessed by you gathered here. The passing of this symbol, imbuing it with love, as you welcome to your ranks this noble peer. Now, I would like to give a slight shout out to the fact that both of my parents have all 4 of these peerages. And it makes me very proud to be able to say that I'm their daughter. The second piece that I would like to offer today is one that I wrote after a long time of thinking. Now, when I was young and in the SCA, I heard a song sung by a campfire written by Garrett Galbraith called The Veil. Now, for those of you that are familiar with the song, you know that it is the story of a young man who leaves his true love and goes over to war. And he takes with him her promise and her veil. And he wins many accolades. And 10 years later, he returns, finding that she has moved on with her life. So he returns to the war, feeling a little bit sad and betrayed, as though somehow or other she's let him down, but continuing to fight in her honor for the girl that she once was. It always seemed to me that there was something of that story that was missing. And so I wrote an answer, and that answer is called The Promise. I was but 14, his arms fast about me. Tears streamed my face as I tried to be brave. My veil in his hand, his sword pressed about him. To go serve the king, this promise I made. I said, come back to me, though the whole world you travel. Win through each day and do honor for me. And let every victory you claim be a token. Return to my arms, your true love I will be. But after 6 weeks, black news came of battle. The ship bravely fought, yet were all lost at sea. In my pain and my rage, I wanted to join him, but I knew by then that his child was in me. My parents, they found a man who was willing, a widower tradesman who would have me. A wife I became, he treated me kindly, but we both knew my heart was lost in the sea. I'd said, come back to me, but by the sea you'd been taken. So I must live as you'd want me to be, and rise up each day, this life now the token that honors my true love and his memory. My husband, he watched me grieve for my true love. My tears he dried as I cried in the night. I dreamt my love armored, all covered in glory, and rose up each morning to fight my own fight. Children, they came, his son and 2 others. My husband, he cherishes each one of the 3. A home and a family we built up together, but each action of mine was for his memory. I'd said, come back to me, but by the sea he'd been taken. Now I must live as he'd want me to be, and rise up each day, my life now the token that honors my true love and his memory. His son daily grows so much like his father, his eyes now the green of the wide open sea, so tall and so strong, already a warrior. Each breath of his life is my love's victory. 10 years they passed between one breath and another. Still I watch soldiers come home from the war. One day, from a dream, a face I remembered, a belted commander, he strode toward my door. I'd said, come back to me, though the whole world you travel. Win through each day and do honor for me, and let every victory you claim be a token. Return to my arms, your true love I will be. I'd said, come back to me, but by the sea you'd been taken. So I have lived as you'd want me to be, and rose up each day. This life was the token that honored my true love and his memory. I stood there a daze, my world turned asunder. My true love alive I could not understand. But what could I say? My life there about me. He held my veil and I held his son's hand. We invited him in to share in our supper. Could he see my love in each corner and wall? He told us of victories he'd won for his lady. Like jewels, I'll hold them and treasure them all. I'd said, come back to me, though the whole world you travel. Yet I have lived as you'd want me to be, and let every victory you claim be the token that honored my true love and his memory. He departed that day, leaving gifts for the children. I do not know if he knew his own son. He's back to the wars for another adventure. But as for my heart, a new life has begun. I'd said, come back to me, but by the sea you were taken. So I have lived as you'd want me to be, and rose up each day, the life as the token that honored my true love and his memory. I honored my true love and his memory.
Martin says, wash your hands. A public service announcement from Martin. Martin says, wash your hands, or die, man, die. Martin says, wash your hands, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or wind up 6 feet below these lands. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? You mustn't try to hug your friend, or die, man, die. More likely you to bug your friend, so who's the ass now? You mustn't try to hug your friend, instead a happy smile send. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or die, man, die. Martin says, wash your hands, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or wind up 6 feet below these lands. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? 6 feet they do recommend, or die, man, die. Better on more depend, else who's the ass now? 6 feet they do recommend, but 12 apart the best routes wend. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or die, man, die. Martin says, wash your hands, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or wind up 6 feet below these lands. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? To stay well we must use soap, or die, man, die. Let's break the curve and the slope, else who's the ass now? To stay well we must use soap, to break up fatty envelopes. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or die, man, die. Martin says, wash your hands, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or wind up 6 feet below these lands. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? We'll keep our kids in a box, or die, man, die. Kids don't fret 'bout some pox, so who's the ass now? We'll keep our kids in a box, with just our love as chains and locks. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or die, man, die. Martin says, wash your hands, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or wind up 6 feet below these lands. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? My care is for you as well, or die, man, die. I wish to spare all some hell, else who's the ass now? My care it is for you as well, this should not need a harder sell. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or die, man, die. Martin says, wash your hands, else who's the fool now? Martin says, wash your hands, or wind up 6 feet below these lands. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? Martin says, get the jab, so fies, man, fies. Martin says, get the jab, don't play the fool now. Martin says, get the jab, or find yourself upon the slab. Thou hast well vaxed men, not the fool now. Oh, Martin says, wash your hands, or die, man, die. Martin says, wash your hands, else who's the fool now?
Martin says, wash your hands, don't wind up 6 feet below these lands. Now do as I've spoken, else who's the fool now? Some 60 years and more this war has bloodied fields from here to France. My grandfather fought well for Henry and fertilized this field's new crops. Full 20 times 'twas been contested, likely still for 20 more. And when my son seeks wife and coin wealth, he'll draw them from a Henry's store. They took me from my clan and neighbors, then they chose my fellows too. They taught us pride, 'tis what they told us. Stand before those halls of France. Your pride shall stiffen spines in conflict. We'll show the best at Agincourt. Now I walk or sit o'er savage bodies, fashioned for the saints above. 'Tis all of one when one is driven. The needs of England shape one's days. We reap the harvest sown before us, the rise and fall of farmers' scythes. No scrap of sin in soldiers make work. I simply work to pay my tithe. Hard battle like the Mastrons onward, the sacrifice of humble men, the prayers of faithful rising skyward, if only their Lord might give ear. Their cheeks are freshly kissed this morning, they'll miss the last at Agincourt. No final prayer at Agincourt. Everyone else loves Kirian's songs, Kirian Cantor's songs. Everyone else loves Kirian's songs, even after hearing mine. That talented godsend writes wonderful verse, makes other poor bastards seem worst of the worst. Don't dare try to best him or fall prey to the curse of unattainable fame like me, 'cause everyone else loves Kirian's songs, Kirian Cantor songs. Everyone else loves Kirian's songs, even after hearing mine. When once years ago I dared Filka's song, the order first thought, now what more could go wrong? If Dahrien got him, are we taking too long? We know how these things go. I'm good, but everyone else loves Kirian's songs, Kirian Cantor songs. Everyone else loves Kirian's songs, even after hearing mine. Now this little verse doesn't say a damn thing, even though you hear my voice ring. The one thing, however, it's certain to bring is another chance to sing refrain. And everyone else loves Kirian songs, Kirian Cantor songs. Everyone else loves Kirian songs, even after hearing mine.
I am the Honorable Lord Davik Walker from the Shire of Vulpine Reach and Meridies. I am apprenticed to Master Olahan MacLoman, who lives in the barony of Thor's Mountain, also in Meridies. This first song, The Glories of War, was written by Mistress Eleanor of Ashley, who also happens to be married to Master Olahan, and my lady wife is apprenticed to Mistress Eleanor. And I am doing this song with her permission. Why should princes get the glory? Why should knights get all the fame? I'm off to fight for king and country and to win myself a name. Elspeth sweet, please hold your weeping, tears should never dull your frame. This is war and I'm for battle, your brave Tam must have a name. Why should princes get the glory, why should knights get all the fame? I'm off to fight for king and country, and to win myself a name. The heralds cry, the foe advances, hearts beat high as archers aim. But my comrade's face is pale as fortune lures us with a name. Why should princes get the glory? Why should knights get all the fame? I'm off to fight for king and country and to win myself a name. On my left a helm is cloven, on my right a squire made lame. Blood and mud and grey skies cloven, in that blood is writ my name. Why should princes get the glory? Why should knights get all the fame? I'm off to fight for king and country and to win myself a name. My sovereign's voice is filled with anguish, while men flee he cries in shame. In retreat despair is sounded, no more chance to earn my name. Why should princes get the glory? Why should knights get all the blame? I'm off to fight for king and country and to win myself a name. But an arrow wildly coursing seeks his home within my frame. Pain descends as ideals flee. Desperately I scream your name. Why should princes get the glory? Why should knights get all the fame? I'm off to fight for king and country and to win myself a name. Grey skies sink to fill my senses. Elspeth sweetling, I'm to blame. All I want is you to hold me, while at last I earn my name. This song is Celtic. The lyrics were written by a poet named Robert Tannehill. It's called Wild Mountain Time. Now, this is a favorite of our household. And anytime you happen to be at a feast that House Ashley is there in force, you're going to hear this song. I'm sure there are going to be plenty of folks singing along with me, although we're doing it in my key, because, well, there you are. Oh, the summertime is coming, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together, Temple, wild mountain thyme, all around the blooming heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? I will build my love a bower by yon clear crystal fountain, and on it I will pile all the flowers of the mountain. Will ye go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together, Temple, wild mountain thyme, all around the blooming heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? If my true love she were gone, I would surely find another, where the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together, Temple, wild mountain thyme, all around the blooming heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together, Temple, wild mountain thyme, all around the bloomin' heather will ye go, lassie, go. Thank you.
I am Lady Cecily of Oakenfirth, apprentice to Magister Arya Gemen Mala, and I present to you 3 works written by my laurel Magister Arya Mala and a traditional song. First, Pharaoh's Concubine by Arya Mala. Of course he was divine. He said so. There are many types of sacrifice. I was 13, just. Pretty, straight nose, long neck, a way of speaking, so they said. Just shy, really. All the gold, the pomp, the merlace ceremonies, the solemn and smoky intonations, all the choreographed apparitions cowed me, as, I suppose, it was meant. When at last he came to me, I was shocked to see 2 arms, 2 legs, and not a falcon's head, or even a jackal's, but slightly uneven teeth, dark soft eyes, and a pimple, expertly disguised. I smiled. The years passed in rich encoded rituals. We both aged, both, it turned out, kept our figures. When at last his car left him, I wept and was passed on. And now, listening to the litanies in the new temple, praising his ineffable divinity, I sing the words and do all that I ought. But sometimes, when I watch Ra's solar bark passing, I can't help wondering if when they weigh my soul, he'll be clear-skinned and waiting, and if he still snores. Next, The Talking Skull, adapted from a Nigerian folktale. A hunter, in search of food for his family, walked and walked, but found no prey. The plains stretched on, and the sun beat, and he was weary. There was one tree that stretched its branches, and he sat beneath it, propped his feet on a white rock, and drank. When he was rested, he noticed the rock had 2 eye holes and teeth. Alone in the vast expanse except for the sky, he addressed the rock in a casual fashion. "What brought you here, my friend?" Then he laughed, grateful no one could hear him. So perhaps it is to be forgiven if the hunter jumped when the skull fixed him in its empty gaze and said, "Talking brought me here." Food and family forgotten, the hunter ran to the king to tell him of this wonder, and the king and all his attendants went in stately fashion to see the talking skull. The plain stretched on, and the sun beat. So it is, perhaps, to be forgiven if the king was weary and rather hot and bothered when at last they reached the one tree that stretched its branches. The king ordered the hunter to show him the wonder, and the hunter found the skull and addressed it in a friendly fashion. "Greetings again. Please tell my king, what brought you here?" But the skull was silent. For a long time, the hunter pleaded and implored, questioned and queried, but the skull might well have been a white rock to prop his feet on, for all the good it did. The king was angry. He had come a long way and had expected wisdom from beyond the grave, or at least a miracle that befit his station. He had his champion lop off the hunter's head and began the long trip home. Beyond the one tree, the plain stretched on. Beneath the tree, the skull rolled grinning over to the hunter's head and asked, "What brought you here, my friend?" And the hunter's head said sadly, "Talking brought me here. And underneath the shaded earth, other skulls set up a clattering. The traditional song, she moved through the fair. My own love said to me, my mother won't mind, and my father won't slight you for your lack of kind. She went away from me, and this she did say, 'twill not be long, love, till our wedding day. She went away from me, and she moved through the fair, and slowly I watched her move here and move there. She went her way homeward with one star awake, as the swan in the evening moves over the lake. I dreamed last night that my own love came in. She came in so sweetly, her feet made no din. She came close beside me, and this she did say, 'twill not be long, love, till our wedding day. Finally, another work by Magister Ari Mahler, Shakespeare's Joan. Only God above knows who I really am. The rest pull and tug, and I fracture. I'm La Pucelle to the French, holy champion. They believe in me. I did too. The English, though, don't believe in either me or God. It's inconvenient. They see my country breeding as an affront, a sign of dark and desperate proclivities. Whatever that means. Sorcery. That word's about the same, and they use it often. Claiming my skills are hellborn, my vision's delusion. Apparently, yesterday, I fought someone and straddled his defeated body laughing. I was in council at the time, in front of plenty of witnesses. The English soldiers, they slaver and leer as they talk. They have never been innocent. But stories change you. This morning, I noticed an ostler crossing himself after I spoke, then making the sign. What can I say? Forgiveness is part of his creed. Maybe the ostler's Burgundian, or someone else played by foreigners. The casting call was wide. A lull now. A respite. Intermission. I've lost track of my entrances and fear my exits. It's cold. Even in my gambeson I shiver. My God, have you forsaken me? The sky is silent.
Green grow the rushes, oh, green grow the rushes, oh, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent among the lasses, oh. There's naught but care on every hand, in every hour that passes. Oh, what signifies the life of man? It were not for the lasses, oh, green grow the rushes, oh, green grow the rushes, oh, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent among the lasses, oh. The worthy race may riches chase, and riches still may fly them all, and though at last they catch them fast, their hearts can ne'er enjoy them all. Green grow the rushes, oh, green grow the rushes, oh, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent among the lasses, oh. But can my arms about my dearie, oh, and worldly cares and worthy men may go atop Ethereal. Green grow the rushes, oh, green grow the rushes, oh, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent among the lasses, oh. For you so juice, ye sneer at this, you're not but senseless asses, oh, the wisest man the world e'er saw. He dearly loved the lasses, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh, green grow the rushes, oh, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent among the lasses, oh. Old nature swears the lovely dear, her noblest work she classes, oh, her apprenticed hand she tried on men, and then she made lasses, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh, green grow the rushes, oh, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent among the lasses, oh. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. My love is like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry, till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, and I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run, and fare thee well, my only love. and fare thee well a while, and I will come again, my love, though 'twere 10,000 mile, though 'twere 10,000 mile, my love, though 'twere 10,000 mile, and I will come again, my love, though 'twere 10,000 mile. I stood upon the battlefield, a girl amongst her brothers, left arm bracing against my shield, my sword grasped in the other. My heart was pounding hard as hell, my breath was puffing warmly, yet all the while I stood stark still, with shields that shook an army. My braids hold tight my long dark hair, my helm fits me most firmly, my armor's weight I gladly bear along this warrior's journey. When all at once a ragged yell breaks out from all around me, now comes the part I know so well. Brace shields to guard an army. From through the mists I see their forms, 500 foe approaching. Fear not these spindling tiny worms, their taunt comes in reproaching. The charge comes down upon us hard, the enemy lines come swarming, through thundering, crashing, roaring charge, our shields hold back an army. One brother falls upon my left, a hole in our defenses. We step together in a shift, no time for grieving senses. As heightened battle rages peak, headlong we meet the frenzy. Our fury holds the line complete. Strong shields defend this army. Blow by blow we stand our ground. No spearman can disarm us. My strength makes my brothers proud. The battle fever bound us. Valhalla's gates will open wide for all who fall too early. Their horns of mead they'll raise with pride. My shield stood with their army.
My name is Decimus Varius Felix. I am a 1st century Roman in the great kingdom of Ansteorra. And I'm going to tell you a story. This story is called The Acorn and the Devil. Now, there's a theory some people carry that all these tales of the evermen we share, Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack the Smith, Jack and the Devil, Jack the Soldier, all these stories, the everyman, it's all the same person. We almost never hear one of these stories involving Jack as a child. So Jack as a child, you might imagine, is similar to Jack and the Beanstalk. Grew up poor. And his wife, or his mother, whichever story you're hearing, would often send him into town to get up to adventures. Well, it just so happens that this story has our hero, Jack, walking along with just 10 coins in his hand to buy eggs and milk from the local market. And when he was walking down the path, whistling a tune to himself, he ran into a beautiful man, broad of chest, shoulder, tall of stature, firm of chin, pointed of beard, and cloven of hoof. Oh yes, cloven of hoof. For Jack had run into the devil on his way to market. And the devil says, "None shall pass this river who cannot best me." And Jack said, Oh goodness. Well, who are you then? And the devil leaned down over Jack, the boy, and he says, "Do you not know my name, boy?" Jack said, "No, don't know you from Adam." "Well then, I am Lucifer, called Morning Star." "Oh, nice to meet you, Lucy." And the devil said, "Not Lucy, Lucifer." "Well, if you were Lucifer, the devil, you must be able to do a fair bit of magic." "Of course, I'm the Prince of Darkness. I can do any magic I like." "Well, could you make yourself, I don't know, great big huge man?" "Aye." And with that, the devil swelled up and grew until his shoulders crested the clouds and his hands reached out to encompass the entire horizon, and a voice boomed like thunder. "Do you know who I am now, boy?" Jack says, "Well, yeah, that was pretty impressive. Now, that's magic anyone can do, though. I mean, anyone. The Northerners can do that kind of stuff. I mean, the Finns can do that kind of stuff. I bet you can't make yourself teeny tiny small. Well, I found this acorn the other day. It's got a wormhole. I bet you can't make yourself small enough to climb in that wormhole." "Don't you, boy?" And the devil shrunk down to himself. "Give me the acorn," snatched it from Jack's hand, and with a wisp of smoke climbed into that hole bored out by a worm looking for snack meat. And Jack, quick as a viper, snatched up a bit of wood and plugged the hole, put it back into his pocket, and went back down his way, whistling his way to the village. Now, on the outskirts of the village was the blacksmith, a large, angry, bearded man with singes on his chest hair, and a leather apron scarred, and arms made of bridge cable and wire. Keep moving, Jack. There'll be none of your pranks today," said the blacksmith to Jack as he entered the village. And Jack said, I hope you could beg a favor. I'm so hungry, and I have to bring everything I buy from the market back to my mom without eating any of it, because we have to share it. But I did find this acorn. If you could just crack the acorn for me, I'd really appreciate it." "Give it here, boy." The blacksmith put it on the anvil, raised his hammer, and smashed it down upon that acorn. Now, the blacksmith was a veteran of many a foreign war. His reflexes had not left him all those years tending the fire. So let me tell you that when that hammer rebounded from the anvil and came straight to the man, he stepped to the side, and it continued upon its way, and left a hammer-shaped window at the back of his smithy. "What the devil was that, boy?" "Oh, it was just an acorn, but if it's giving you trouble, I'll ask the carpenter to take care of it, or maybe I'll have my sister do it when I get home." "Give me the acorn, boy." The smith put the acorn back upon his anvil, and he reached down, and he pulled up a great 10-pound two-handed sledge. He'd show Jack the Smith and his stupid pranks. This is probably a rock, but if it's a rock, he would smash it to smithereens. And that smith raised it right above his head, came crashing down, and again, only his reflexes saved him as that hammer sailed after and left a bigger window than the first. "Oh, goodness, I didn't realize you were sick today, blacksmith. I'm sorry. I'll take that acorn out of here. I see it's causing you some consternation. I apologize. Put it on the anvil, boy. The blacksmith went back to his closet and pulled down from its place of honor his grandfather's hammer. Now, this is a hammer that was often wielded when striking with other smiths to build a great piece of work. And they would strike in turn, one after the other. And this hammer, well, it wasn't 10 pounds, it wasn't 12. This hammer weighed all of 16 pounds. And it required a man of the smith's stature to swing it. He looked at the acorn, nestled innocently upon his anvil. And he raised that hammer back over his shoulder and leaned away, brought his hand up and over, dropped his knees, and that hammer crashed upon the acorn, and his anvil split in two. The oaken foot split in two. His floor split in two, and yet that acorn shattered to 1,000 pieces, and a smell such as you've never found before wafted over the shop. And the blacksmith, looking at the horror of his workspace, declared, "The very devil was in that acorn!" And Jack, the boy, said, "So he was." My name is Decimus Varius Felix, a Roman of the 1st century. I live in Ansteorra, but in a past life, my name was Felix Avor, and I was a Rom tinker of Eastern Europe. Now there's a word in the Rom language, the Rom, of course, meaning the people. All the humans are Rom. Everyone else is the Gaige. The Gaige are a related tribe of human, but they're not people, as are the Rom. It was a cold winter, long, long in the past, freezing, killing winter. The sheep lay down in their pastures and died. There was no food to be had. What water there was had to be chopped from the earth, melted over fires. The Gaige and the Rom came together and they made a plan. They would make 2 great structures to shelter the length of that long, cold, miserable, killing winter. The Rom, clever, thoughtful folk, they went to the mines and they quarried big, stout blocks of sandstone and basalt, easily cut and easily transported by a single adult. And they built such a cathedral to the heavens, tall of tower, graceful of form and function, but the Gaige being a lazier type. They gathered up all the cheese they had left, and they stacked it into one place, and they hollowed it out. And every time they hollowed a room, they ate the cheese. And their hunger grew as they built this cathedral of cheese. They ate, they ate, and they ate. Now, the Gaige were able to shelter in the cathedral of stone dedicated to God above that the Rom had built for them. And so they survived the winter. And the Rom's labors, well, they kept them warm, back and forth from the mines, sheltered them from the worst of the winds. And although the cheese cathedral was a very poor shelter indeed, the Rom too did survive, but they had no home at the end of that winter. Which is why, to this day, the Rom travel, and the Gaige still owe us money.
I once swore my life to the Templars, my vows to Jerusalem made, with a promise to wield my faith and my shield as quickly as I'd wield a blade. I swore to defend the faithful from harms that would fall on their way, but was I laid low by a merciless blow, for the price of my sins I now pay. We met on the road with a bandit, for the pilgrim's gold he would steal.
With a warband he came, their riches to claim, but I fought with a crusader's zeal. But I never did feel that dark arrow that pierced through the mail on my thigh. The bandit and men I cut down and then cursed the wounded and left them to die. But that arrow, it bore a dark purpose. It carried a powerful curse. I paid it no mind and left it behind, for in pride I thought I've had worse. The wound, though treated, had festered, though fire had burned it away. And deep and unseen it left me unclean and as fragile as unfired clay. One night, while attending the fire, my hand strayed too close to the flame. A burn it was dealt, but nothing I felt when a brother let slip Jesu's name. He summoned our master Ciurgeon. With sorrow he said I was lost. For my merciless plea, a leper I'd be. From the order in faith I was tossed. To the Lazarites then I was taken, my cross crimson red stripped away. They tended my burn, and was there that I learned my redemption was not far away. Though I had been lost to the living, in death I could still serve my Lord. I swore there and then I would fight again, and my faith that was shattered restored. So in state they laid me still breathing. They gave me my funeral rites. They cried and they prayed that my sins be waylaid. From darkness they brought me to light. For though I was dead to the living, no longer my soul was unclean. Till death came at last, I was freed from my past by my brothers in crosses of green. Now I hear the crusades come to Acre. They fear we will fall in this siege. But undying are we, my brothers and me. Saint Lazarus serves as our liege. Ferocious, for we are forgiven. What's dead can sin no more. We will conquer all foes, though we lack limb or nose. For we are the unliving core. A rusty breastplate set inside a trunk for many years. Alas, it was my father's pride that kept the old thing here. Tarnished, rusted, bent, and broke, it sat there tucked away. Until the time my father passed, I'd waited for that day. For now I could discard that thing and maybe fetch a coin. But who would let so poor a piece to their collection join? It needed cleaning and a smith to hammer it back right. So I took to task to try and make that piece again shine bright. I fetched a hammer from my shed, the anvil there to bear. My blows as I delivered strike the armor to repair. A crease there was across the chest, a dent upon its side. A stain of blood did pit the steel, that damage hard to hide. Then I recalled a tale that once my father he had told, about the time he fought for king in battle brave and bold. He said that he had met with luck, for lance had struck his side. Alas, the armor did hold true as he fell from his ride. And over him a soldier stepped as he was on his back. Across his chest a sword did fall, a very strong attack. A crease was left, but not a hole, the armor had held true. Seconds earned to draw his sword and run his enemy through. The soldier's blood, it fell upon him as he gained his feet. He then fought on until his foes were forced to all retreat. Had not the armor stopped the lance, had not it stopped the sword, then surely he'd have died that day and left to meet the Lord. But instead my father did come home with victory in his heart. His breastplate, oh, it was the piece that never could he part. He placed that armor in a trunk, a token there to stay, a debt to metal he had owed that now I would repay. So with vigor I did fix that crease, and patience fix the dent. With honor I did sand the pitted bloodstains as I went, and in the end did I behold a breastplate oh so fine, a piece that saved my father's life, and maybe one day mine.
Hello, my name is Harper Anku. I hail from Atlantia, and I am pleased to be performing for you today. This is the Agincourt Carol. It is an English folk song from the early 15th century. Our king went forth to Normandy with grace unmeeked of chivalry. Their god Herod most marvelously went for England, Michael and Gree. Deo gratias, Deo gratias Anglia, red pro victorias. He set a sash for Saul to sigh, to our flirting with royal array, that tune he won, and mad affray the frown shadow till domes die. Deo gratias, Deo gratias Anglia, red pro victorias. Then when him forth our king comely, in Agincourt fell he folk manly, through grace of God most marvelously, he had both fell and victory. Deo gratias, Deo gratias Anglia, red pro victorias. Their lordes earles and their own were slain and taken that fell soon, and some were brought into London with joy and bliss and great renown. Deo gratias, Deo gratias Anglia, red pro victorias. All meekly God he keep our king, his people and all his well-wishing, and give him grace without an ending. Then why may call and sadly sing, Deo gratias, Deo gratias Anglia, red pro victorias. The name of this tune is the Black Nag or the Galloping Nag. It is normally accompanied by a folk dance, but I'm going to be playing it a bit faster than people are usually comfortable dancing. This is Western Wind. It is a fragment of medieval poetry that was first found written down with this tune dated 1530. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it.